Welcome back from the break. The Arafura Games is an inclusive multi-sport event held in Darwin every 2 years, where athletes with a disability compete in the same program as able-bodied athletes. 3 young boxers from WA are heading over to the competition to hopefully bring home gold. We meet the dedicated athletes today.
Welcome everybody to 2019 Arafura Games. It's organised by the Northern Territory Government, and I took my time to encroach on the privacy of 3 Western Australians who are going to be participating in the boxing discipline of the event. Let's sit back and relax. We listen to them and show you what they've got for Western Australia.
The Arafura Games is on our shores. 9 days that will last forever. The iconic Arafura Games, April 26 to May 4.
I was born 17th of the 11th, 95. My name's Chicho Minihu, and I'm a boxer. I've been with Ruben for about 4 years now. I started in I think it was 2015. One of my mates brought me here, and then the first day I came, I was like, yeah, I'm set here, this is where I want to be. I weigh 69, which is welterweight. We've got a comp in Darwin. I'm trying to get there and fight. Whenever the fight starts to here, I try to fight as well. So I've done the Golden Gloves in Brisbane. That was back in 2017. I did Australasian here in Perth. I won that, which was good. I won the Golden Gloves in Brisbane as well. Had Golden Gloves here as well. Again, I won that again. We had Super 8 in Brisbane. I won that. I fought in Sydney for Commonwealth tryouts back in 2017. I've been to a few national competitions, which has been good. So I'm a full-time student in Murdoch doing teaching, working casual and studying full-time. To be at the top level, you got to compete. If you're not competing, there's obviously people that are going to be a step ahead of you. You got to compete, got to stay fit, got to stay sharp. So competing is very, very, very important.
My name is Billy Pokinall. I'm 22 now. I'm born in October the 28th, 1996. Well, I sit around at maybe 60, 65, and so I box at 63. I've had about 120 fights now. Last season, I had 16 fights. I got 14 wins. I'm off to Darwin for the Arafura Games. That'd be a good trip up there. It's a good tournament. I've a few boys from other countries, so it'd be a good international tournament. So I want to get as many fights as possible. Hopefully to get a few wins. My plan's to get the gold. If you want to be at the top level, you got to really dedicate your life to it, and you ain't got time for a normal job. If anyone wants to help out, I'm be very grateful and hopefully get the win.
I fight at 64 kilos. You just have to eat clean, know how much intake you're taking, and train. It's changed my life, taught me a lot. Discipline, it's kept me out of trouble, gives me something to do. Keep away from nightlife and just stay with close friends and family.
You change position. Right? And you change position. One thing you are really good is we have the building the boxer from the schoolboy. When you 8 years old, 7 years old, you be in the concentration. Junior concentration, you be on the senior concentration. If you good boxer, you go step to the top. So sometimes the boxer go to junior, getting world championship, but maybe he on the senior, past few years, he can go because have really good boxer there. Anyone can be good. In Cuba, you see many surprise with young people, 17, 18 years old, beat the Olympic gold medal.
I was born in Tasmania. I grew up there, came to Perth when I was 10 years old. I got 2 brothers as well, 2 little sisters. My brother just started boxing as well. He's about 6 years old, so he's getting into it as well.
I come from a place called Essex, so it's just southeast of England, just outside London, in a small town called Southend-on-Sea. All my brothers and sisters, they all played football. My dad, he was a football coach too. So when I told him I want to do boxing, it was a bit different. My mum and dad, they're always very supportive of me. I know it makes them happy that I'm doing boxing, so it makes it a lot easier. If it's making them happy, it makes me happy. I always like competition, so it's just all hand in hand,
The Arafura Games is on our shores. 9 days that will last forever. The iconic Arafura Games, April 26 to May 4.
Tony ETC reporting for Undercurrent.
Last week, the Brunei government declared full Sharia law, thereby introducing the death penalty for homosexual acts. In our second Voxpop this week, we speak to the Perth public about their thoughts on the impact of the LGBTQ community in Brunei and whether boycotting Brunei-owned airlines and other businesses will have any kind of effect.
Hello and welcome to Undercurrent. Today we're going to go out to the public and talk about the controversial topic about gay rights and death laws introduced in Brunei. Brunei government have imposed laws banning gay rights. What are your thoughts on this?
Not a good move. I mean, people should be free to do whatever they want if it's not harming other people. I think that applies to a whole lot of stuff. Totally against it, man, yeah.
I'm also totally against it. People should have the freedom to do what they want without the government coming down on them. So, yeah, I think it's a really bad move. It's going to lead to a lot of good people getting innocently charged.
Yeah. What could the gay people residing in Brunei do?
As sad as it sounds, like immigrate out of there. It's a really difficult world we live in, where the government's run by power and money, and it's really hard to topple over political parties that are funded by the major resource companies in those countries. So they don't have much recourse for the government's decision there. They've really got to look at emigrating out of the country, which is sad and a global crisis really.
And unfortunately, lots of people will probably have to just not be open about themselves or their sexuality because of the big risk that it will place. So it will mean a lot of society and the culture is going to be going back towards the hiding their true selves again.
Also, have you thought about boycotting any of the hotels, like the Beverly Hills Hotel or the Bel Air?
Sure, I mean, I don't pay to stay in hotels anyway, but yeah, I think that's a good move,
Yeah, I'll certainly boycott those companies as well. I don't want to be involved with anyone that's like totalitarian, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And the airlines have also said that they will basically take anyone off their airlines if they're gay.
Oh, really? Royal Brunei Airlines have said that, have they? Yeah, wow, that's crazy, man.
Anyway, thanks for you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
cheers.
you.
Recently, the government has imposed laws on banning gay rights. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I think it's horrible. Yeah, I didn't even know about it until you literally pulled me up just then and told me.
And it's pretty much punishable
By
stoning,
death?
Yeah.
Oh, it's shocking.
Anyone who catches Brunei airline flights
Oh, really?
can be taken off and killed, pretty much.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's horrible.
Yeah. So I mean, have you thought about boycotting any of the hotels? Like they mentioned stuff like the Bel Air and the Beverly Hills, any of the hotels that are owned by the.
Probably couldn't afford them anyway. But no, I don't think that's something I'd probably want to be involved in anyway. That's really shocking.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that at all.
And I mean, in what way can gay people be positive in these times of crisis?
Probably turn to your friends, I suppose, and seeing that they're not the only ones that'd be outraged. I think a lot of people would be outraged, and those who aren't outraged, they've probably got their own issues to deal with. I think, that's probably the only thing you would be able to take about that.
Have imposed laws on banning gay rights. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's appalling, obviously. Someone's sexuality is their own, and I think having a government ban them or putting them whatever there is, the punishment is, I think it's appalling, and I think, but it's also a positive to see other people in other countries sort of condemning it. It seems like it's just that country and their government is sort of in that sort of minority of thinking.
Yeah, I agree, and especially punishable by death. I think that's massively extreme, and I think it's an outdated view as well. So, and like you said, all the other countries, or many other Western countries especially, have condemned it. So I think it's a positive thing to see for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not on, is it? Like, I feel like the last 2 years in particular have been a real strong couple of years for the movement in general, and I feel like it's just a massive, almost step backwards in these circumstances. Not necessarily for the Western countries, but for the world in general. I think it's shocking.
And they're thinking of boycotting other hotels like Bel Air and Beverly Hills.
So they're pulling out of the country?
Yeah, and just making people not go to these hotels. It's obviously owned by the Brunei government. If ever you would boycott them.
Yeah, it's definitely obviously something you have to look into. we have to make a stand against that. This sort of viewpoint is not on these days, and ever on. So I think if there's a way that we could impact and show that we're against it, I think definitely boycotting is a way to do it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a sort of a question about voting with your feet. I think if countries like this are going to have those hotels pull out and other sort of similar industry, big dogs, then I think it's a good way to sort of reduce the tourism into the country and then sort of make a stand about the way that the rest of the world feels.
Yeah, it's just like consumer power, isn't it? So I think that's the only way we can talk with money, but I think it's definitely the right call, but yeah.
And for the LGBT supporters here, what can they do in this times of crisis, hearing upon this news?
I think it's obviously standing together as one. When someone comes against you, like a government or a country, I think staying together and staying as one community is really important, and not sort of turning on one another. But staying together is important. So that community is fairly strong. So I expect them to stand together as well. So.
Yeah, well, I think so as well. And like we've all mentioned, I think this community strong, and I think it condemns the actions of the countries like that have got a few outdated views. I think it's pretty easy to sort of stand strong, and I think it's pretty easy to avoid their actions and move forward more positively.
Yeah, definitely positivity is key, because obviously they've hit a few hurdles in their time. So I mean, one more shouldn't be too hard to overcome for them. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in it.
My name's Liam, and thank you for watching Undercurrent.
The Global Entrepreneurship Congress is an annual gathering of thousands of entrepreneurs and other startup champions from 170 countries around the world, all working to identify new ways to start and scale new ventures around the world. Bass reports from Bahrain.
We're here at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress for 2019 in Bahrain. 170 countries are represented, and there are countries that most people haven't even heard of that are from Africa, the Ivory Coast, small countries, big countries, coming together in the spirit of entrepreneurship. I'm here today with Jonathan Ortmans. He's the founder of Gen Global. Jonathan, how are you?
Good, great to be with you.
Excellent, and it's so good to be talking to you here in Bahrain. What's behind Gen Global? You're the founder. When did it start? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the United States has always had a reputation around the world, mostly because of Silicon Valley, of being the sort of epicenter of entrepreneurship, and I always questioned that theory. But when we looked around the world, we discovered that there was not a lot of confidence about 15 years ago when we started to examine this. And so what we've seen, of course, now over the last 10 years is an entrepreneurial revolution. The idea that entrepreneurs, when I graduated from college, tended to be people that were thinking about, oh, I'm going to go into business, I'm going to go work for a big company. And I know when I graduated, it was strange. It was like, I'm either going to do something creative and interesting, and I'm going to give back to the planet, or I'm going to go and exploit the planet and make money and work for a company. And what really changed was you had people from liberal arts degrees entering, not just people who would go to business school, and it became a creative field, a field where you had people conducting experiments, figuring out better ways of doing things. And what we wanted to do was to provide opportunities for everyone in the world to be able to capitalize on that. So the whole thing about Gen is we began the Global Entrepreneurship Network with doing a Global Entrepreneurship Week campaign. And the purpose of GEW was to take the great opportunities that we saw in countries in the beginning, in the United Kingdom and the United States, and tell the rest of the world, you too can light the candles in the young people in your societies, and invite them to consider, how do I improve the lives of my fellow citizens? How do I make a job rather than take a job?
What brings a Perth boy to Bahrain?
It's just an amazing conference been going on for the last week. Just to meet lots of new people from all around the world, lots of entrepreneurs. Learning about the things that they've been doing, how to make ourselves better, how we can share, what's going on in each other's ecosystems, and basically learn from each other.
Tell us why Bahrain, why this Congress?
Bahrain chose to host the the annual Congress. I thank them for doing that. What a wonderful opportunity it's been to see the lifestyle of the region and the opportunities that are available for global businesses to come and visit Bahrain and decide if they want to do business here. So, you know, it is held in a different country every year. Every time I come, I connect with my Gen family. Those relationships are strengthened, and you know, I look forward to whatever city it might be in when they're announced.
What would it take for Australia to be the next host nation for something like this global congress?
Well, I mean, of course, formal answer is Australia should bid. Australians, you should bid. Have us come down there. We'll bring the world to Australia. We'd love it. No, really, you obviously have a very, very, very appealing part of the world that everybody would love to travel to. You have no reasons why we wouldn't go to Australia. No, if there's leadership in Australia that says we think this is the kind of global gathering that should be coming to Australia. I know that I've spoken to several of your ministers that seem to think that innovation is a very, very critical part of the national agenda. And there's every reason to be doing that hand in hand with other economies, and that's really what we try to do. We bring the ministers, we bring the IP, we bring obviously the leaders, and I think we've seen him behind. There's a true gathering, even in the Middle East. You know, we've got 170 countries represented.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Undercurrent. That's all we've got time for, but we will be back next week with more great stories about Perth. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.